Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Japan and we're going to return it to one of my favourite Osaka breweries. And you've seen me review a good couple of beers from these guys now, but this one I think is one of their more interesting offerings that you're going to see. And this of course was another recommendation by my good friend Koji at liquor shop Asahiya in Taishibashi Maichi here in Osaka. So make sure you check out the link to his page in the description below, and I'm sure you can go along there and get some really good recommendations for Japanese craft beers. So for this one we're going to return to Minoh Beer, or AJI Beer Incorporated to give you the parent company's name, and we're having a taste of the Minoh Beer Cabernet today. Now this one comes in at 7% ABV, and this one is basically a fruit beer brewed with Cabernet grapes, and I don't think I've ever had a beer that uses, you know, red grapes or purple grapes, however you want to describe them. I've not had a beer that uses darker grapes in the brew. I think I've had ones with Pinot Gris juice added to them. I think I've actually had ones that have had, you know, white grapes or green grapes, however you want to call them, added to it as well. But I think never ever red grapes actually. So I think this one will be a very interesting beer to review. And these guys, as I say, tend, you know, I've never had a bad beer from Minoh Beer, so I'm very, very curious to see how this one turns out. Beer Tengoku would say that this one's a little bit like a kind of shandy or a radler sort of thing. So as I say, I think this one will be one of the more kind of curious releases, if you like, from Minoh Beer. And Koji has never recommended me a bad beer yet, so yeah, we'll see how we get on with this one, and hopefully you guys enjoy my take on this beer. I'm really not sure what to make of this one just from the description. So yeah, so anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, link to my other reviews that I've done from Minoh Beer before. No doubt we'll add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Minoh Beer then, and Minoh itself. So Minoh, as I've told you before, is a city within Osaka Prefecture. It's about 15 kilometers or so to the north of the centre of Osaka City, and this area of Osaka is very famous for the Meiji no Mori Minoh Quasi National Park, which is one of the oldest that's still in Japan. And you know, when you think about how old a society Japan actually is, that is pretty impressive. But it's also famous for the Katsuoji Buddhist shrine, which is over 1200 years old. But the monkey symbol that's often used by the brewery is a reference to the monkey population that lives in this national park. But this Minoh brewery was established back in 1997, and it's owned by the Oshita family, who'd run an alcohol store for about 30 years before they opened up the brewery. But apparently the family went for dinner one night, and on the way home Papa Oshita pointed to a building and told the three sisters that they would be brewing beer in there soon. So he'd bought a brew kit from New Zealand and actually rented out this building and was preparing it to actually start off and brew their own beers. But the brewery is now run by the family's three daughters. Kaori and Mayuko founded the brewery, and their younger sister has since joined in with them. Kaori is the eldest sister and she's the head brewer, and she trained initially at a brewery in Kobe before going to the National Research Institute of Brewing, RNIB, in East Hiroshima. And she says that she actually learned a lot more on the job, and she's constantly tweaking her recipes, and she credits Nakanishi of Isa Kadoya as a great mentor to her. He really helped these guys kind of get up and running. Isa Kadoya, of course, are one of the other Japanese craft breweries that I really do recommend that you check out. These guys are putting out some really cracking New England IPAs, and of course other styles at the moment as well. But the brewery apparently had a very kind of uphill struggle when they started, because many of the little G-Biru, the local beer breweries that were booming in the late kind of 80s and things like that, these were starting to go bust in the late 1990s because public opinion of the G-Beers wasn't great. You know, a lot of them were, you had like a Weizen, a Pilsner, and an Alt beer, sometimes a Kulsch and things like this. You know, a lot of the G-Biru breweries, there's a lot of them here. Some of them are, you know, there's a lot of them are mediocre, but some of them are very, very good. And that's one of the kind of things. It's a lot of the sake brewers that started to have a go at brewing beer. Most of them tend to do quite a good job actually, but these guys have since gone on. They've kind of gone through the uphill struggle, and they've gone on to become one of the most decorated craft breweries in Japan. And these guys also run the Beer Belly pubs in Osaka as well. And if you go to Minoh, you can visit the Minoh Warehouse, which is their restaurant and bar where you can get a lot of these different beers on tap. And I really would recommend that you do that. Michiko and I did that, and that was where we had a little taste of the last beer that I reviewed, which was the Godfather 7, which was their the Sodoshima Salty Ale. That was very, very nice actually. So yeah, if you get the chance to try some of these Minoh beers, I really highly recommend that you do. They've got their core range. I'd recommend the WIPA and the Imperial Stout. Those are probably the two best beers that I've had from Minoh Beer so far, but they've always got some interesting beers and a lot of different seasonal releases as well. You should hopefully see me review one of their seasonal releases fairly soon actually. Hopefully I can get a bottle of that and take it back to Sweden. But that's all you really need to know about Minoh Beer and AGI Beer Incorporated just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that as well. There's lots of different things to keep up to date with them on. But anyway, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before you open it up. A little bit different, of course, from the other artworks that you're going to find on the other Minoh beers, to be honest with you. This one is quite a little bit different, and on the bottle cap of this you can see there is the famous Minoh monkey. I really like how that one comes across. But yeah, should be a really nice beer, this one. As I said, it comes in at 7% ABV, and it uses Cabernet grapes. The guy on Beer Tengoku, I forget what his name is, but he was saying that this one's a little bit like a radler, so I'm very curious just to see what Minoh Beer can throw up with this one. So without further ado, I guess, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. Let's just see how we get on with this beer. I always like it when you've got random things like this that you don't know what to expect from them. So yeah, let's just have a go and see what we think. But when you open this beer up, you certainly get a little bit of that almost grapey kind of radler quality coming out of this one. But yeah, look at that. That's definitely a very winey kind of coloured beer, this one. As I say, I've never had a beer, I don't think I've actually ever even had a beer that's in a blue bottle either. That's one thing. Just look at that. I've seen, you know, this reminds me of the Blue Nun wines that my mum and dad used to drink. I have to admit I never liked that very much, but yeah, my mum and dad I always used to think it was cool that you got blue bottles and things like that. But yeah, as you can see with this one, if I hold this one up to the light, actually, it's poured a very nice kind of it's almost a little bit, the best colour way I can think to describe this one is just like grape, you know, red grape juice or something like that. You know, it's a very dark sort of mahogany, rubyish colour, this one. There's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say, it's a kind of beigey head with a little bit of a kind of pink tinge to it. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it does actually look pretty nice. And I will say there's a bit of an odd aroma coming off of this one as you open it up and put it into the glass. So we'll need to examine the aroma a little bit more closely on this one. So yeah, let's take a closer look at that and just see how we get on. Yeah. Now that wasn't a cough because the aroma's bad right now. I've been struggling a little bit with a cough over the last couple of days, as you might have noticed in some of these videos that I've been publishing. So yeah, with this one, it's strange. It's got a nice little bit of a bready backbone to it. It almost reminds me of some of these kind of Pilsner beers that I used to drink when I was in Heidelberg in Germany. It really has a little bit of that almost Pilsnery, bready backbone to it, which is very interesting. There's a little bit of a kind of there's almost a little bit of a toasty, grainy note to this one as well, which is quite interesting. Yeah, definitely a little bit of that toasty, malty sort of thing. Maybe a little bit of biscuity sweetness as well. Some grassy and floral notes in there, which is quite nice. And also a little bit of a, you know, the grape juice is really coming out of this one. It's definitely got a little bit of that red kind of purpley grape sort of thing in there. You can really pick that out. And it does smell quite juicy. So yeah, as I was saying, I should probably comment a little bit about my experience with Japanese red wines. Michiko's very into tasting different red wines and things like that. I quite like tasting the different Nihon shoes, right enough, and of course the different craft beers. But I found that with the Japanese red wines, they're very, very distinctive actually. The Japanese grapes have this little bit, I don't know if it's a little bit more acidity that you get because of the volcanic soil here in Japan, but the Japanese grapes are very, very distinctive. They're just a little bit more juicy and almost a little bit darker in their juiciness, if you like. I've not had too many different kind of light grapes or green grapes from Japan right enough, or even white wines. Most of the wines that I've tried from here have been red, but they've been really, really nice. And you know, unfortunately, it's the same with the craft beers. Japan produces a hell of a lot of products that are very, very nice, but their distribution network, for a country that is so advanced in many different fields of technology, their distribution network really is just bad. You know, Japanese wines, I think it's very, very difficult to find them outside of Japan, but I think it goes back to the whole way that they grew the Japanese economy. It was very much about fostering a kind of domestic market, and because of that you've got so many little tiny family-owned businesses here in Japan that they only produce a certain amount, and that's probably something to do with it as well. But you've got the big corporations as well, like Kirin and Suntory and Sapporo and things like that are putting beers out all over the place. So it's kind of one or the other in Japan. There's not really a kind of happy medium, if you like, but the Japanese grapes are very good, and if you do come here I would recommend that you have a look at some of the different red wines. And with this beer, as I say, with the aroma, you can really smell almost that German kind of Pilsner malt base to it. And on top of it, it's got an almost kind of toasty bread and butter aroma to it, to be quite honest with you. But on top of that, you can really pick out some of these nice, juicy Japanese grapey aromas to it. I do like how that's kind of blended together. It's a very kind of unusual combination of aroma, I have to say, with this beer. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of it before you get stuck in. But we're going to have a taste of this one now. So this one is the Cabernet. It's supposed to be a kind of radler type beer. A kind of grape radler from Minoh Beer in Minoh in Osaka here in the Kansai region of Japan. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanje, Skål, Kampai. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to make of this one. It actually kind of comes across pretty much exactly the same as it would in the aroma. It's it is actually very similar to like just a Pilsner or something like that. It's quite strange actually. On the aftertaste you're getting a little bit of you definitely are getting a little bit of that kind of juicy grapey note to it, but really the main thing for me with this beer is just it pretty much is just a little bit like a Pilsner. I mean, I didn't drink very many Radlers when I was in Germany. The main reason being, I thought, why drink Radlers when you can drink the Pilsners and the Helles and the Weizens and things like that. But to me, this one, it really just reminded me of a kind of almost a more bready Pilsner beer. It's just a very kind of light, easy drinking thing. I thought this one was going to be a little bit more like a kind of proper fruit beer, if you like. I wouldn't class this one as a fruit beer, and I'll be straight up and say this isn't one of the stronger beers that I've had from Minoh Beer. I mean, the other beers that they do are really, really kind of full in flavour, but this one isn't quite at that same standard, I don't think. And I would say, as an easy drinker, it's quite a nice, just easy drinking beer, this one. But compared to the other things that Minoh have produced and that I've reviewed for you, this one for me, it's almost just a little bit of a letdown, to be quite honest. But as a Pilsner, as a nice kind of light, easy drinker thing, it will do a job. Let's say about that. You would never think from tasting this beer that it is 7% ABV. But let's kind of try and break down the flavours then. So in the middle of your palate, you've got a bit of that kind of that typical sort of pale malty quality. That just goes right across the middle of your tongue. It's got a little bit of that kind of lighter Pilsner-y quality to it as well. In the centre of your palate, you can definitely pick out a little bit of that kind of biscuity sweetness, and it's almost got a little bit of that kind of bread and buttery quality that I was talking about that was coming out in the aroma as well. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that with this one, it's the malt base in this one is a little bit, it really is kind of somewhere between a kind of a Pilsner and a sort of Helles. It's definitely got that sort of bread and buttery quality to it, which is quite interesting actually, and the malt base is fairly tasty. But as I say, when this one's kind of sold as a fruit beer, if you like, it's just not what you would expect, to be quite honest with you. On the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of your palate, you can pick up a little bit of earthiness. There is kind of a sweet earthiness, so I would wonder if they've used sort of German noble hops in this one, which, you know, I do suspect they have in this. That earthiness just smooths out a little bit, and as you come further forward towards the front of your tongue, you can pick up at the front corners of your palate just a little touch of that floral, grassy component that you would expect from the noble hops. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and grassy, and behind the front curve of the tongue, you can pick up some of these juicy red fruity esters that you like. There is a little bit of a kind of black curranty sort of thing to this one, I would say. But around the edge of the palate, that's where you're getting the kind of the flavours from the grapes in this beer. You know, as I always say, when you add fruit to a beer, it almost just kind of suppresses a little bit of the IBU that you're going to get from the hops. Do pardon me. As I say, a few issues with my voice over the last couple of days, but yeah, with this one you can really feel in this the juiciness of the grapes just pushing away a little bit of the IBU in this beer, and it's got a nice juicy edge to it. As I say, you've got those nice kind of purple grapey notes. You've got a little bit of that kind of black curranty flavour to this one, just behind the front curve of your tongue as well. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of figgy and raisiny note in this one the further into the aftertaste you go as well. But overall, as I say, this one, compared to the other beers that I've had from Minoh, this isn't one that I've enjoyed anywhere near as much as the other ones. It is a nice kind of easy drinking beer, this one, but when you get a fruit beer, you know, when it comes to Minoh, when they say they're going to do a fruit beer, they've got Yuzu IPAs, they've got black IPAs, they've got their big Imperial Stout, they've got the WIPA. You know, these are beers that will absolutely pack a punch, and when they're trying something like this, you do expect something a little bit experimental, knowing the reputation of this brewery, but this beer is more you know, it is, if it's a fruit beer, you would expect it just to be a little bit punchier in its flavour than it is. You know, you'd expect it to be almost maybe like a grape sour or something like that. That's what I would have expected from this one. You know, it's a nice enough beer, you know, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just not packing the same punch that you would expect from the other Minoh beers. I think it's fair to say that with this one. This one really is more like a kind of just slightly grape flavoured lager beer or something like that. It's by no means a big punchy beer, which is what you would expect from Minoh beer. So for a nice kind of summer easy drinking beer, this one would fit the bill. But you know, I would, you know, if they're doing great beers, I'd want them to try something a little bit more bold than this, or to, you know, even try doing like a sour beer or something like that. That would be a really interesting project to do with this whole kind of Cabernet thing, because it obviously is intended as quite a special kind of seasonal release beer, this. But yeah, I mean, I would say to you, if you've got the choice of this beer or other Minoh beers, you know, the Boss Saru IPA is a very good one, the nice black IPA, the Yuzu IPA is very good, the Imperial Stout, the WIPA, you know, have a go at some of these beers before you have this one. The Sodoshima Salty Ale that I reviewed for you a couple of videos ago as well, that's a really nice, almost, I think it was like a kind of grisette sort of beer, maybe not a grisette, but it was this really nice, kind of slightly salty, Belgian-y golden ale type beer, and you know, they can produce beers like that. This one, I think, is just, it's not what I expected, to be honest with you. This one's just like a kind of slightly grape flavoured lager beer. So yeah, have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. But for me, this one isn't the highlight that I would. This one isn't the highlight of the Minoh beers, I don't think. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, then definitely quite a light-bodied beer. You know, carbonation in this one is quite smooth. It does have a little bit of a prickle. This beer does have a degree of crispness to it. There's a nice little bit of You know, mainly it's a kind of wet mouth feel, this one. It is just a crisp, easy drinking beer. There's a little bit of sweetness from the malt base. There's a little bit of graininess kind of pushing its way out there as well. Some kind of hoppy bitterness in there. But no, not that much. I mean, in terms of IBUs, you're lucky if you're getting about 20 IBUs out of this beer, and you've got some juicy, fruity qualities to it as well, like I've described too. But as I say, an interesting one, but not one of the highlights that I've found from the Minoh Beer range. There are far superior beers there that they're producing, but you know, as an easy drinking kind of summer beer, you know, you could get used to this one. But I'd love to see them take this and try and make it into a sour beer or something like that, because the quality of the grapes and the grapey flavours that you're getting in this one are very kind of distinctive of the Japanese grapes. They've definitely got a little bit of that slightly sweeter, kind of juicier quality that I've come to, you know, be familiar with from the Japanese red wines that I've tried with Michiko and things. But you know, try this one as a, you know, try and make this a sour beer or something. That would be my advice to Minoh Beer when it comes to this one. So yeah, we'll see how we get, you know, we'll see how we get on with this. But I wouldn't hold this against Minoh Beer. As I say, the vast majority of their beers tend to be very, very good, but this one just wasn't quite what I expected. It's more like a slightly grape flavoured lager rather than a kind of proper punchy fruit beer, if you like. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Minoh Beer, and you know, do let me know what other beers you guys would like to see me review. I know they've got a lot of different seasonal beers, and I'll try and review those kind of as we go. I'm not sure how I will be able to get a hold of all of those for you, but I hope you've enjoyed this review. Thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the Cabernet, a grape flavoured kind of lagery type beer at 7% ABV from Minoh Beer in Minoh, Osaka here in Japan. Make sure you check out some of the beers from Minoh Beer. You know, this one, give it a try if you're interested in it, but I would say stick to some of the other beers that you get from Minoh Beers, because they really are top notch. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Skål, slàinte, kampai.